tech tips and tutorials to increase your online presence, websites, social media, online donations, applications, databases, and more. This is OrgSpring.
Hello, this is Craig from OrgSpring. Thanks for joining me for this video. I will be showing you how to install and activate WooCommerce, the e-commerce platform for the WordPress framework. I will also show you how to be setting up your WooCommerce installation, how to handle all the settings, and how to get it ready to work for your organization. That will include things like setting up products, adding products to the site, adding product pages and shops to the site, and also how to add things like donations, which could be important for your nonprofit or other organization. So we're going to start with that. First, just a few items of housekeeping. I am running the latest version of WordPress, which is, as of the time of this video, WordPress 4.0. I have a very simple site set up. I have a static home page. I have my blog posts pushed back to a blog area of the site, and I have a simple background put onto the site just for some contrast as we're looking at the different pages. Also, it helps to note that I do have a few plugins installed, both free and premium, that as we look in the dashboard area, it may look slightly different than what you might see. But we're going to try to keep this as basic as possible. We are running the Genesis framework along with a Genesis child theme. It's just a simple child theme we have here. Not a lot of frills, and we're going to make this real easy and simple so that you can set up WooCommerce on your site as well. So if you're just jumping into e-commerce with your WordPress site, you may not even know what WooCommerce is, but you might have heard about it or why people use it. WooCommerce is one of the best e-commerce platforms out there for WordPress. There's not a lot that it can't do. Even in its most basic form, it is one of the best e-commerce platforms out there, and it does a ton to get you up and running with products, give you the ability to take donations and sell items on your website, run a membership site, take subscriptions, things like that. So if you're thinking at all of getting into e-commerce or taking online donations or selling anything on your site, WooCommerce is a great way to go. You're going to install that by going into your dashboard. And you'll notice here we're at the main area of the dashboard. And to install a plugin, we have this installed already, but to install a plugin, you'll come down here to your plugins and then you'll click Add New. Now, again, we're running WordPress 4.0, so we have this graphical plugin format. You might not see this if you have an older version, but you will see a search box, and you'll simply type in WooCommerce, and it will come up with different things that might have the word WooCommerce associated with it, and as you can see, there's almost 1,000 of them. You're going to look at this one here, almost 4.5 million downloads, called WooCommerce Excelling E-commerce. You're going to install that and then activate it. When you do, you will have 2 additional menus added to your admin browser here. You'll see WooCommerce, which has a whole bunch of submenu items, and you'll also see Products, which has its own submenu items. So once you've done that and installed that, you will see these 2 things. Now, you may also get a message up here that asks you to install WooCommerce pages. I recommend that you do that. It will install some simple pages that will be used for your e-commerce platform. Go ahead and click that button. It'll usually come up as a purple button. You can click that, and that will install the necessary pages that we'll be using. Now, if you're running an e-commerce store website here in the United States, there are some basic changes that we're going to make. WooCommerce ships with some settings that probably are not going to apply. So what we're going to do is first go through WooCommerce, the back end, and we're going to set up the settings the way they should be for your store. And I'll go through the names of some of these options. So over here, you'll see the WooCommerce tab in the admin area, and you'll click down on that and go into the submenus, and we'll go straight to settings. Now you have a bunch of tabs here: general, products, tax, checkout, shipping, accounts, and emails, and we'll get to each one of these in time. But we're going to do some general options, and we're going to do some general changes. So we're going to stick in this first tab, general. And we're going to change the base location to your country. So we're in the United States, so we're going to page down a little bit here. And when you're in the United States, it actually asks you to set the state name as well. So we're going to page all the way down to my state name, and we're going to click Pennsylvania. Now it's going to ask us if we're selling to all locations or just within the United States. I like to leave this blank. You never know, you might get some orders from outside countries, so we'll just leave this set to all countries. We don't want to enable a site-wide store notice text. This pops up a little box on your site that says the site is just in demo mode. None of your orders will be fulfilled. You can do that if you want to as you're developing your site, but I usually don't recommend doing that. You can leave this checked, enable the REST API that will allow you to use the WooCommerce iOS app and also to be able to tap into the store later with outside data. Now, if you don't plan on ever accessing your stored data from outside your website, like through a third-party application, you can uncheck this. Right now, I'll leave it checked. You'll want to change the currency options. You'll see here it starts, or it's listed when it ships with pound sterling. So we're going to go ahead and just click on that box, and then we're going to type in dollar, and you'll see a few options here, and we'll click US dollars. The currency position left is fine. You'll notice because we haven't saved yet, it's still showing us that pound symbol. If we page down to the bottom and just save our changes, that will reset and show us the dollar symbol. So that's fine. Thousand separator with a comma is fine. Decimal separator with a decimal point period is fine. Number of decimals, 2, is fine. That will show us cents after the dollars. And then we could change these front end styles to more closely match our own color scheme. Right now we're going to leave these blank, but I'll show you where they come into effect later. Enabling a lightbox will allow us to pull product images open into its own separate pop-up window, which is fine. We'll do that. And then enhanced country select boxes may come into effect later. If someone is purchasing something from our store from another country, we will also leave that selected. Again, we'll just click Save Changes, and that will save our general changes or our general options to the site. The next thing we're going to do is go in and select the Products tab, and that will allow us to select or change product-based options. Simply click on the Products tab, and that will take us to the Product Options area. And we have 2 sub-tabs here, Product Options and then Inventory, which show us some different things. We will stay on the Product Options area first. Now, when you first installed WooCommerce, it would have given you the choice to install pages, and this is why we do this. It installs a simple page like Shop and things like that. So those will be pre-filled here, and they'll also be pre-filled in some other areas of our settings. But the Product Archive Shop page is the page that is going to show all of your products. When you install WooCommerce, if you install the sample page settings or if you install the sample pages, it's going to pre-fill this for you using the page Shop. Now, of course, you can pick a different page, but this is the easy way to get up and started. Now, that Shop page is just going to go according to your product permalink. So at this point, you may want to double check to make sure that you have custom permalinks set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this in a new tab. Excuse me. And this is going to take us to our product permalink settings, or our general permalink settings for WordPress. Sorry. Right now you'll see it's set to default, which has this kind of ugly post equals number format. We want to come down here and click on post name. This gives us a nice permalink. It's called a pretty permalink. And for our shop, we're going to come down here and we're going to click product, and that gives us a pretty permalink as well. We'll click Save Changes. And then we'll just close out that page. We can refer back to that later. Now we're back in the products section of WooCommerce settings, and we want the shop page to be the one that pulls up and shows us all of our products. The shop page display, we want it to show products. If we click on this, we have different options. We can have it show categories or subcategories of products, or we could show both, which would be to show all of our products and then show categories of our products. For now, we're just going to leave it at show products. The default category display, we don't want to select a particular category. We want to have it show everything, and we want it to use default sorting for the product, and that would be any kind of custom ordering that we set in the product area itself. That will allow us to control custom sorting of our products, and we'll leave that set here. I'll show you other ways to sort as we get into creating products. Now we have different ways to add to cart. So we are allowing enable Ajax add to cart buttons on archives. And what that means is when we have product archives, if we click add to cart, it will just add the product to the cart. It won't refresh the page. It just gets done right there. It's very nice. You can leave that checked. If you want someone to redirect to the cart after they add the product, that means if they're looking at your product and they click add to cart, if you want it automatically to take them to the cart, you can check this button. If you want them to stay on the page that they're on, maybe interact with some other options or do some further shopping, you'll leave this unchecked. Now, here in the US, we can use the US metrics. So instead of kilogram, we can use pounds there. For dimensions, instead of centimeter, we'll use inches. Product ratings, if you want to allow people to rate or review your products, you can leave that checked. If you want to require people to leave a rating before they review, you can leave that checked. If somebody has actually purchased your product and they're leaving a review that way, it will show that they're a verified owner. This lets people know that they're not just leaving a junk review, that they actually own the product. And then if you want to basically restrict reviews only to verified owners, you can check this box, so we'll do that. Now your catalog images, single product images, and then product thumbnails, these are image settings, width and height settings. We're going to leave these as is, and I'll show you where that comes into effect. And then you have different download methods. This relates to the way that the file will be downloaded. If you have a product that allows downloads, like if you're selling an ebook or you're selling a piece of music, this will be important to go through, and we'll cover that in a later tutorial. We'll leave it selected as forced downloads. For those who do want to download, we want them to log in. So we're going to check downloads require login, and we are going to grant access to the downloadable product after payment. So when orders are processing rather than completed. So we want to give people access to the product only after the product has been completed or the payment has been completed. So if they're paying via check or if they're paying by credit card or PayPal and it hasn't actually completed the order yet, where it's just processing, we don't want to give them access. So we're just going to click uncheck that, and then we're going to click Save Changes. That covers all of the product-based settings. Now we're going to hop over real quick to inventory settings. And this gives us the ability to enable stock. So if you're going to manage stock, that means if you have a certain number of things, you can manage stock here. This can also be overridden on your individual settings. We're going to leave this checked just in case we do want to manage stock with some of our products. And we can enable low stock notifications. That means when we get low, we can have the website automatically send us a message. So you can also notify us of enable out of stock notifications. I have an email set up for where those notifications will go. Let's set a low stock threshold of 10 instead of 2. And out of stock threshold we'll set to 0. Now you have a choice here to out of stock visibility. You can actually hide out of stock products from the catalog. We don't want to do this. Even if we're out of stock, we want to show people those products. They will see that it's out of stock rather than actually taking it out of our shop pages. And we can click here. For stock display format, you could always show a number in stock. You could only show when it's left or when it's low, only 2 left in stock, or never show the stock amount. I prefer not to show the stock amount, but you can choose that depending on what you want to do. I'll click Save Changes there. Now that completes all of the product tab element changes. From here, we will move over to the tax settings. Okay, so click on the tax tab. And that will take us to the tax settings. You'll notice here we have several options as well. Now, this will ship without calculating taxes. And we're going to actually leave this because most of what we're doing is either service-based or online to the point where we don't need to track tax. Now, I will say this. If you are selling products or if you're selling services that require some sort of tax to be met, you want to check with your local taxing authority. They will tell you whether you need to take into account sales tax on the sales of products on your site. We do not need to, so we will leave this unchecked, and that will allow us not to handle tax on our site. Effectively, that lets us not have to worry about any of these things. Again, you may be required to deal with sales tax in your area, and this varies by state, by county, sometimes even down to the city level. So you'll need to check with your local taxing authority to understand whether you need to account for sales tax with sales on your website. The next thing we're going to cover are the checkout options, and these are very detailed, so we're going to go through this in a few areas here. We're going to click on the Checkout tab. You'll also notice here we have several options, and we'll get into each one of these one by one. WooCommerce allows us to do a banking transfer, to do pay by check, to do cash on delivery, COD, to do PayPal, and also simplify commerce out of the box. We're not going to use some of these, so we'll get into that as we go along in this section. The first thing you'll come upon here in terms of settings is the ability to use coupons. And we will in the future want to use coupons. It's a great feature of the e-commerce platform, so we will make sure that this remains checked. Now, during your checkout process, you may want your users to submit information to you, and you may want to capture that information and create user accounts inside your system, which allow you to do things like subscriptions or allowing people to have an account so that they can re-download products they made or even reorder products they made. It's a great thing. It's a great feature of WooCommerce. So I like to disable guest checkout. That means everyone who checks out at my site has to submit information that allows me to capture some of their information like name, email address, things like that. So I disable guest checkout. If you just want someone to breeze through your checkout, not have to register with your site where they just pay with PayPal or credit card, then you can leave this enabled. Just recognize you won't be able to capture information on them. Now again, here's an area where we have a HTTPS. This is called a secure site. So this is done with an SSL secure socket layer. You would need an SSL certificate to make this work. But what this does is an SSL encrypts data going back and forth between your customer and your website and the server or any other third-party extensions you might have. Some gateways will require that you have an SSL on your site. Others do not. For now, we're going to leave it blank. If you have an SSL already installed on your site, you can check this. It makes your checkout much more secure. Now down here we have access to checkout pages. Again, this follows with what we installed when we first installed WooCommerce. If you installed the sample pages, these will be pre-filled out. WooCommerce installs a cart page for you. WooCommerce installs a checkout page for you. If you have terms and conditions, you can create a terms and conditions page, and then we'll select that page here. For now, I'm actually going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to click Save here, and we're going to lock these changes into place. We will come back and take a look at these other options in just a moment. We do want to create a terms and conditions page. So what we're going to do is go into our Pages area. We're going to open this up as a new page. You're going to see here all the sample pages we have. Your site may only have a few if you have a new site. But I'm going to add a new page by clicking Add New. I'm going to call this Terms and Conditions. Then in the sample content area of the page, I'm going to type some sample terms and conditions. This is where you'll put information like what information you collect on people. Like you might be collecting their email address, you might be collecting their IP address, you might want to tell them that you collect cookies or things like that. that they may want to know. You may also want to give them information about return policies in relation to your products. If you offer them or if you don't offer them, you might want to put those here as well. So once you're done typing in what your terms and conditions are, you could simply publish that page. Once that's done, we'll close that. We will come back to the checkout options for WooCommerce and we'll just refresh our page. And then any of these pages that you want to change, you could simply click in this box and we'll give you the option to search, and we'll just type terms. And that's our terms and conditions page that we just created. So we'll put that there. This will come into effect on certain products where we want to track terms and conditions. In terms of checkout page, again, this is a pre-installed with WordPress if you wanted it to, with WooCommerce if you told it to install pages, but you can come and choose different checkout options. The checkout page is special to WooCommerce, so we'll leave that. Same thing with cart. But if you wanted to change the names of these pages, you can do that. These are custom endpoints related to payments, receiving orders, adding payment methods. These relate to how the customer will interact with your site when they're paying. When their order has been received, it will show them a special message. And then if they want to add payment methods to their account when they save their account on your site. We're not going to change these. Let's leave these set up as is. And then once again, we'll click Save Changes. Now you have different payment gateways, and this is how clients or customers are going to pay you. And you'll notice the ones that are set up or enabled by this checkbox. So you allow people to pay you with a direct bank transfer. This is the BACS, and you can change all these different settings down here. So if we wanted to change BACS settings, we'll click there. Check settings, click here. The first thing we're going to do is not allow certain things. So we're going to come into here, the BACS, and click settings. Other than that checkbox, you can also access them by these options up top. You'll notice here BACS. Enable bank transfer. We do not want to enable this. We're going to turn that off. If you wanted to do that, you would add things like your account name, account number, bank name, your sorting code, your banking number, and your SWIFT codes. You can add all of that here, and this would go in and allow people to check out with a bank transfer or wire. I don't like to use this on my sites. I'm going to disable that by unchecking the Enable Bank Transfer, and I click Save Changes. If you do want to do bank transfer, there are other additional add-ons that allow this that I think are better or more secure. We're not going to get into that now. We also want to leave check payment enabled, but we're going to change the name of this. This allows people to pay by check. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this, and we're going to call this Pay by Check. And then we're going to tell people where they can send the check. So please send your check to, and we're just going to say our name here. We're going to copy that and put that into this second area as well. And this is descriptions and instruction that will come up when people are instructed to pay by check. So we're going to save those. We'll click on Cash on Delivery, and you'll notice that this is not enabled, which is good. PayPal is enabled, and we're going to keep this checked. PayPal Standard will let people pay with PayPal. Over here, you'll see description, pay with PayPal. You can pay with your credit card. If you don't have a PayPal account, that's fine. You'll input your own PayPal email address here. This is the email that you use to log in with PayPal. You'll insert that there. You'll leave the rest of these options blank. You don't need to capture shipping details. If you, for some reason, want to save that information in your PayPal account or here on WooCommerce, you would check that box and it's going to send them shipping details instead of billing. This can have things that relate to how you are charging your customer or whether it works with their credit card. We usually leave this blank. You can do the same thing with address overrides. We leave that blank. These are advanced options which will come into play. Here, you can input information. For example, if you're not sure what any of these things mean, you can always hover over the question mark and WooCommerce gives you a little bit of information. So if your main PayPal email differs from the PayPal email entered above, input your receiver email for your PayPal account. This is used to validate IPN requests. Now, this could come into account if you have different email addresses registered with PayPal. We typically have just one email address registered with PayPal. We're going to leave this blank. Now, something will show on your PayPal invoices when a customer checks out and gets a message from PayPal. They want to check their receipts or they want to check what gets listed inside their PayPal transactions. This is set for WooC, standing for WooCommerce. We're going to change this to the name of your site. This could be anything. I like to keep it short. I'm going to change this to OS for OrgSpring. I will leave the dash and then it will include the customer receipt numbers, order numbers after that. We will leave that. The payment action, you'll have a choice here, capture or authorize. Now, authorize will just authorize the account. It won't actually charge the account. So we want to make sure that this says capture. That will actually charge their account, whether it's a credit card or PayPal, and at the time of checkout. If you have a different PayPal page style or you have PayPal identity tokens, you can put those numbers here. We're not going to cover that in this tutorial. This is basic for setup. You can use your PayPal API credentials. This will come into effect if you want to run refunds directly through your WooCommerce store. This is a nice feature of the most recent version of WooCommerce. If not, you can log into your PayPal account and run refunds that way. You'll also need this to do things like subscriptions and to use some of the advanced functionality with some of the cool WooCommerce extensions. For now, we're going to leave that blank. We'll click Save Changes. Simplify Commerce is a great commerce payment gateway that allows you to charge credit cards directly on your site. It charges a fee as if you were to use a specific payment gateway. You can sign up very easily through Simplify Commerce. This will require an SSL. We're not going to enable it for now. Basically, we're going to go back to the main checkout tab. And on the bottom, this will show us all the different types of payment options we're using. We're using check method or PayPal. That's it. We've now fully finished our settings for checkout. We'll save our options there, and then we'll move on to shipping options. So we'll click on the shipping tab, and this will take us to the shipping options page. Again, we have multiple submenu options to choose from here. Out of the box, WooCommerce gives you a ton of different options to handle shipping. You can also integrate that with some really cool extensions to get automatic shipping costs for shipping with, say, UPS or FedEx or USPS, and a lot of other options as well. For now, we are going to just leave the shipping options as is. That is, we're going to offer, you'll see here, just free shipping. If we get into a scenario where we need to calculate shipping costs or you need to charge for shipping if you're shipping physical products, you can come in here and change these around in terms of how shipping will be displayed, how it will be calculated. We'll cover that in a separate tutorial. For now, with our regular products, we're only going to be doing donations and some simple online products. We could even disable shipping, and we'll actually disable shipping calculator on the cart page. That way it doesn't even show up. And then we'll click Save Changes. The next thing we'll get into is accounts, and this tells us how to handle accounts and customer accounts on our store. So go ahead and click the Accounts tab. This one does not have any submenus, and it's a pretty easy to change setting area. So the first thing you'll notice is My Account page, and this is where people will go to see details about their account that they've created with you when they become a customer by purchasing something on your site. Again, this will be pre-filled if you've installed the WooCommerce pages when you installed WooCommerce. If not, you can click this and select one of your pages to serve as an account page. You may want to go ahead and create a My Account page. But if you followed the tutorial so far, you'll have the My Account page already pre-filled. Again, you'll have some custom endpoints there. These you won't edit. You will just leave them as is. Down here, you have some registration options. If you want somebody to be able to register on your site, you'll give them the ability to register on the checkout page. That means they'll be able to add something to their cart, check the cart settings, and proceed all the way to the checkout page before they have to register. That's fine. We usually keep this checked. You can leave that there. If you want to allow people to register on the My Account page, you can select that. We leave this blank. You want people to click on the account page and be able to log in rather than register from the account page. You can display returning customer login reminder on the checkout page. This is a good thing. On the checkout page, it will actually say if you're a returning customer, remember to log in. That is good because if they are a returning customer, you want to keep all of their transactions related to their account and linked to their account. So we're going to leave that checked. Automatically generate username from customer email. This is also a good thing to do. It's actually not going to ask them for a username. It's going to make their username their email address, which is more secure and easier to remember for most people. You can choose to automatically generate a password. This will send them a password like a 10-digit password, series of numbers and letters and symbols. We usually leave that blank. Doing so will actually pop up a password field and it will allow them to set their own password. So we'll leave the settings as is here and then click Save Changes. And that finishes all the account settings. Next is the email settings. So go ahead and click on the Emails tab. And here we have several submenus again, and the emails can get very involved. We're going to take them step by step, and we're going to do one by one and show you how this works. Now, when a customer checks out on your website, there are various points at which they would receive an email, and those are listed here. So we have some general email options, which we'll come back to in just a moment. A customer would potentially receive an email upon a new order. That is, when they complete their order with you, they would get an email that says something along the lines of, "Thank you for your order, here are the details," and then maybe a link to where they can get a receipt. Now, if they chose a checkout method which does not process or complete the order automatically, it would be considered processing order. This would, for example, come into effect if they used a check method where the order is considered processing until you actually receive that check and can complete the order, or more importantly, until you're actually able to cash that check and it goes into your bank account. So if they checked out with a method that would only put the order into processing, you would use an email for that. Once the order is actually completed, they'll get a message that says your order has been completed. Thank you. Here are the details. This would come into effect if there was some delay between processing and completing an order. Also, if you were giving them something like a downloadable PDF or a document or some other file, that can be included with the completed order. If they are doing something on your site where they would just have an invoice, or if they wanted to download an invoice, say for reimbursement purposes for their company, or they just wanted an invoice of the transaction, you'll be able to allow them to get an invoice, and the customer invoice email handles that. If at checkout the customer enters a note into the checkout field, that note comes to you in an email, and that would be here via the customer note email that can be customized. If a customer tries to log into their account and they can't figure out their password or remember their password, they have the ability to reset their password. The reset password email can customize the information that goes out to them when they're resetting their password. And then upon creation of a new account, you can have an email sent out and you can customize how that email looks. So we're going to take these step by step in order. The first thing we're going to do is do our general email sender options. So from name is our website name. That will be pre-filled from your website name in your settings. You can also change that here. The from email address will be pre-filled from your admin email address and settings. That will be pre-filled here. If you want to change that, you can do so there. You can also preview your template just by clicking here. That will open up a new window and show you what that template looks like. Just a simple color up top, the template name, and then text below. And then it gives our website name here with the powered by WooCommerce below that. So we'll close that, and you'll see that is pre-filled here. So we can change that right here. OrgSpring University, powered by WooCommerce. We will just say, put our website there, www.orgspringu.org. And you'll notice if we save those changes, and then we click Preview Your Template, you'll notice that's changed down there. Now you can also add a header, and that will show up in place of your text. So for example here, where we have the template email name there, we can actually have that show up with an image. So you would enter the URL to your image here. And you can do that by looking through your media library. So let's just open up our media library and see what kind of images we have there. You'll notice we have a whole bunch of different images installed. We're going to upload an image that is our logo. And we'll just do a simple logo here. We'll use this one. And then we have other logos which we can use. Very simple. And we'll put those there. Now, in our library, if we click on this, it will give us the link, the URL to that image that we just uploaded. So we'll copy that link. We'll return to the WooCommerce settings and we'll input that right there for the header image. We'll click Save Changes. Again, we can preview the email template, and it adds our logo above. See that? So we'll close that out and continue editing. Now we'll change the base color. Now our base color is orange. So I'm going to change the base color of my email. The background color is fine. The body text color is fine. The email background is fine at an off-white. I will save those changes and preview my template one more time. And here we have our logo, and then we have our template name for the email is white, covered by orange, and then our links here show up in orange. This is more closely branded to our own. So we'll leave that there. We've already saved changes, and those are our general options. So we'll now move over to the new order. This is an email that will go out when somebody creates a new order. So you'll see here, new order emails are sent when an order is received. This is an email notification, and you could enter the recipients to which you want this notification to go. This is going to default to the admin address in your website. Now, just to be clear, a new order email does not go out to the customer. This is a new order email that goes out to you, the site admin. So it's going to default to our admin address, so we can leave that blank. If you want it to go out to other recipients, for example, if you wanted new order emails to go out to 3 or 4 people, you would enter those email addresses here and separate them with commas. Now you can also use different short codes to give you different things here. For example, in your subject, this is going to be the subject of the email that goes out. And for example, here you'll see you have site title, new customer order, and then an order number, and then a dash order date. So what this is actually doing is it's going to take your site title, which is OrgSpring University. It's going to then say new customer order. Then it's going to give you the order number and then the order date. We're going to leave this blank. All these things will be the subject line of the email that gets sent to you. The email heading, and this is different with different email softwares that you might be using, but you'll see here new customer order. We like to be a little bit more specific here. And I'm going to add site title here. And that's going to, when the email comes through, it's going to say new customer order from OrgSpring University. We want it to be an HTML email instead of plain text. And we will click Save Changes there. And that completes the new order email that will go out to you as the admin when someone submits a new order. When an order is processing, we want to enable this email notification. And this is going to go out to the customer. You'll see that here. This is an order notification that goes out to the customer after payment containing an order. So we want to enable this, and it's going to say your and then site title. So this will say your OrgSpring University order receipt from, and then the order date. That's fine. The email will just say, the email heading will just say, thank you for your order. That's fine. Again, using HTML. All those things are fine. We can leave that. We'll click on completed order submenu. We want to enable this notification. When an order completes, it will say the same thing up here. Your order is complete. Over here, your order is complete. I like to change this and add site title here as well. So your order, or I should say your OrgSpring University order is complete. And then you could also, if it has downloads, you can put information about what will be downloaded here. But you'll see that it defaults to your site title order from this date is complete. Go ahead and download your files, and that will have any files attached if there are there. Email heading for the downloadable, your order is complete. Download your files. And then save this as HTML, and we'll click Save Changes. Now, if the customer wants to print an invoice, we can check what that would look like. And you'll see here, this is a selection. You don't need to enable it. When a customer comes into their account, they have the option of printing an invoice for their orders. It will send them an email. So you'll see here, invoice for order number from order date. Leave that as is. Leave the email heading. The subject as paid. That's fine. And then the email heading, order with order number details. If you want, on some of these, you could insert your site title. So invoice for order, you could say from OrgSpring University, your site title order from, your order number details from OrgSpring University, putting in that site title there. Leave it as HTML, and then we'll click Save Changes. The customer note, I rarely include this as a notification, so I will uncheck that. If the customer adds a note to the file, if it's something that we need to respond to, we can respond to that directly. If you want to keep this, you can keep this checked. We'll save changes. Then we'll click on Reset Password. If the customer asks to reset their password, it'll send them a notification, so we'll make sure that this is checked. Password reset for OrgSpring University through the site title shortcode. Password reset instructions will be the heading. We could also put for our site title there. Leave that as HTML. Click Save Changes. And then the last one is for new accounts. We'll click on that. And for people who create new accounts, this gives them a link to their account, their username, and their password. So we'll make sure that this is enabled. It says your account on site title, welcome to site title, HTML, those are fine. We'll leave them as is. And that completes all of the custom emails. If you want to get even more customized in terms of what's contained in those emails, you'll have to get a little bit into code by copying files to your particular theme or editing these email templates. That's a little bit advanced for this. We'll cover that in a separate tutorial. At this point, WooCommerce is now fully set up to work the way you want it with your site. So if we go back to our general page here, if we go to the products page, and we know that the shop page is the shop that will show all our products, we can now navigate to the front end of our site, and you'll see the URL. If we put the word shop in there, it will come up with our shop. You'll see here that we have no products, so we're going to want to go off and do two things. We want to add this shop page to our menu item so people can access it easily, and we want to add some products. So let's go ahead and do that now. So under our menu, under Appearance, we'll click Menus, and you will see your menu. Right now I have Home, Blog, My Account, and those correspond to Home, Blog, My Account. We will add Shop, so if we go to View All, you can search for it in alphabetical order, or you can go under Search and just type Shop, and it will show you the shop page. Check it, click Add to Menu. We'll move that up. We'll click Save Menu, and on the front end of the site, we'll refresh that, and you'll notice Shop will be there. So if we were to go from the home page to the shop page, that's what they would see. Now we need to add some products. We're getting this message that no products were found matching your selection. Now in the next video, we're going to discuss how to add products, how to do all of the product settings internal to that product, how to add prices and images and things like that, how to complete a sample order, and then how to review your order reports showing how much money you've made or how many products you've sold. And we're going to cover that in the next video. If you want to leave a comment or have a question about any of the material from this video, you can do so here on the YouTube video or over at orgspring.com with this particular post. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.